Up with Dr. Leyland. Step into the future, the world is waiting now. Dreams are in the making, we'll show you how. From the books to the screen, from the stage to the stars. Level up your game, let's raise the bar. Innovation, inspiration, it's in our DNA. Breaking through the limits, we're paving the way. Level up, reach the sky, take the lead, don't be shy. Your story's worth it, your light will shine. At Level Up Academy, it's your time. Oh, it's your time. At Level Up Academy, we rise and climb. Empowered in your passion, your voice will be heard. Building a legacy with every word. From podcasts to pages, from business to art. Level Up's the place where it all can start. With heart and with vision, we're chasing every goal. Together we'll ignite the fire in your soul. Level up, reach the sky, take the lead, don't be shy. Your story's worth it, your light will shine. At Level Up Academy, it's your time. Oh, it's your time. At Level Up Academy, we rise and climb. Oh, we're trailblazing, breaking through the mold. Dreams are alive, let your story unfold. With courage and pride, we'll take the fight. At Level Up, we own the night. Level up, reach the sky, take the lead, don't be shy. Your story's worth it, your light will shine. At Level Up Academy, it's your time. Oh, it's your time. At Level Up Academy, we rise and climb. So let's level up and never look back. On the road to greatness, we're on the right track. Together we'll soar, together we'll thrive. At Level Up Academy, we're alive.
Whoa! Welcome, guys. Happy Wednesday. We are still waiting for Roni to come in. I think she's having some technical difficulties. I don't know if she is able to make it. But I've been talking to her on the phone, not on the phone, but on messaging, but I don't know if she's able to make it. So if she is not able to make it, we're going to still talk about limitless perspectives, right? Because that is the theme for today. But we're still hoping she's able to make it. If not, then we will move on with our conversations. Okay. So today we are going to be talking about this. So I am going live as a global influencer on Influencing You platform this Friday at 2 p.m. EST or 10 a.m. PST. And we are going to be talking about really analytics, right? Analytics and performance in terms of how do you use your analytics so that you can perform well within your social media. Remember, Influencing You is about social media platform. Everything about it is social media. We have amazing global influencers all over the world, literally bringing in information that is right now, that is happening within their platform as well, to help you really look at what is the analytics that should pay attention. How are you going to use this analytics, right? That is my topic. But there's so many people from TikTok, from Instagram, from YouTube, from LinkedIn, from Facebook. I mean, it's just everywhere. People from everywhere. even people who are thinking about putting in a production for their show is on influencing you. I did put it on the comment section in our YouTube channel. If you come in on there, you can. So yes. And Ronnie, if you are listening, you are in the wrong place, ma'am. You are not on my platform. So please click the link on the message. Click on StreamYard and come on in. I know that you are on LinkedIn. You shouldn't be the one watching. You should be the one that's up here with me. So go ahead and click on the link again. I know you don't have a computer. Your cell phone should be able to log you in if you click on the link. And I wish that I was next to you helping you this morning, but we are already live. So I see that you're commenting on LinkedIn. So come on in on the messaging, click on the link. Anyhow, again, if Ronnie's not able to make it, she's on, I guess, on the messages today instead of up here. And we will still have a conversation and hopefully she can still join in. If not, she is active on the messaging. So again, influencing you is on Friday. Okay, Friday. Another thing I wanted to share with you is rice coffee. Right now, if you well, they actually have a winter sale. I don't know how long it will be. Maybe in a day or two, it'll be done. But with the rice coffee, this coffee right here actually has lots of goodies for you. And you're like, CJ, I'm not a coffee drinker. This actually is 100% vegan. It is a functional mushrooms and it has 1 billion CFU per serving. This is not, there's creamer. You see that white one? That's a creamer. And also this is the vanilla flavor. Let me tell you a little bit about what is in this super packed mushroom, superfood mushrooms, probiotics, and cognitive enhancing fats, right? And you're like, I don't want to be fat. No, no, for your brain. Okay. It's literally, okay, 6 different mushrooms in here. We have cordyceps, which is good for giving you energy, that boost, right? But that's not going to make you feel like you're going to crash in the afternoon. Lion's mane. I take lion's mane on its own, but this one already has it. It helps you focus for the day. If you have ADHD, it does help you focus for the day on whatever projects that you're going through. And then we have reishi mushroom, which is for stress relief. Everybody's stressed right now, one way or another, whether your eggs is costing you 20 bucks or you're stressed from work projects or even just looking for a job. I do know some people are looking for a job now that some jobs are not secure. So stress relief is in here, reishi. We have shiitake mushroom, which is good for your immune support, right? And immune support is really good for all the bugs that's happening right now with the weather. One day Sunday was beautiful. I mean Saturday was beautiful. Sunday was beautiful. It was sunny, and then boom, Monday it's gloomy and wintry and let's see, kind of gloomy, really bad. And it's been raining for days for in San Diego right now. So all of that bugs that's coming in your way, at least you have shiitake mushroom to help you support. There's also turkey tail, which is healthy digestion. And then there's also king trumpet, which fights oxidation of stress, right? That means your skin drying, all of that good stuff. So hopefully this is helpful for you. Again, if you want an extra 15% coupon, just add Constance Leland 15 and you will have that. I'm so excited, guys. Our academic publishing is already up and running. Okay. We are on our 3rd event yesterday. We have finalized, well, some of us have finalized our problem statement. And then we're going to be moving on to the next phase this Saturday. I'm having all of that good stuff. And so I will go ahead and make sure that this information is going to be brought to you for free. All of our research that we have. I'm so excited. I was helping with problem statement yesterday, so it was really amazing. All right, so after academic publishing, of course, we also have our anthology. This anthology is coming out by the end of this month. We are on our final editing phase, and so we're going to bring it to you by the end of this month. And it's really amazing. There's a lot of cuteness in there. There's a lot of animals in there. There's poetry, and I was looking at the pictures from Paulette. It's so cute and amazing. How gorgeous is she? Like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And then, of course, our Disrupt and Dominate magazine. It is coming out as well this month. There's a lot coming out this month, huh? At the end of the month, for sure. But this one is going to have amazing business leaders out there who's disrupting and dominating their area of expertise. And Ronnie, I think, is having really a hard time of coming in. Ronnie, if you're still listening, I'm not sure if you're still listening. She might not be able to come in today, guys, unfortunately. She's having technical difficulties. But if you are actually on there, I just tested it on my cell phone. If you click on it, right, and then it goes to Safari and it says, open this page in Safari, there's an X button. Okay. If you're in your cell phone, there's an X button on the top left. Click that X button. It should let you go back in, and then go ahead and, yeah, because it says on here to copy the link. So actually, hold on, copy that link and then go to your browser. If you have a browser or search button, paste it in there and just hit go. Hit go, and you should be able to use it on your cell phone. Okay, so let me repeat that, Ronnie. So on your messaging right now, okay, on the LinkedIn, click on the link for StreamYard. Click it one more time. And then it says open this page in Safari, right? Go ahead and copy the link. There's a number 1, 2, 3. It says copy link. Hit copy link. Close that browser. Go to your search button on your iPhone. If you have an iPhone, go to your search button, paste that link and hit go. And you should be able to go in Safari and come in. Okay? So hopefully that helps you. All right. So let's see if Ronnie will be able to figure that one out for us today. I really think she's an amazing lady and hope that you guys can meet her. If not, we're going to continue the conversation. All right. So another one that I wanted to bring up to you today are a couple of things. First is, of course, making sure that everyone in your area are safe, guys. There's a lot of happenings in the world today, so please be kinder to yourself and to your neighbor, of course, right? Another one I wanted to show you is Mike to Millions. Mike to Millions book. It is for podcasting. So if you're thinking of going to go and podcast, this is the book for you as well. All right. Well, I'm trying to look for my sister Susanna's page, but I cannot find it. So I don't know if it was deleted or not, or Mike. However, I'm gonna bring in the what do you call this? And the LinkedIn page for them. Okay, so Ronnie, if you are still listening, go ahead. Hold on one second. Let me help her, guys. This is live, right? We're going live. Click the link here, then copy the message. Oh, hold on. Copy the link from your phone, and then search. Click search and put the link on the Safari. So hopefully she'll figure that one out. We'll see. But she is amazing. And so we're going to have this conversation. I do have questions for her, but we're going to answer it ourselves today, hopefully. So let's see who was first in here. Ooh, look at my sister Danielle is first and not Susanna. What? Usually Susanna is first. Sister Danielle, I hope you're feeling better, sis. She is playing tennis, and she overexerted herself. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna call it. So hopefully she's feeling better today and you're not in pain, right? All right, so here's the influencing you link. If you guys wanted to check it out, that would be amazing. See, Ronnie's right here. She's like, I'm on as part of the audience. No, you need to be up here with me. So I wish I could help you. You messaged me a little bit too late. We were already starting our show. That's why I like to actually get it in here. But I do have her cell phone. I can always call her too, right? We're gonna make it happen today. If not, it is what it is. We're just gonna go with it. Some of our this is the first time for me to not have my first, right? So let's take a look at who else is here. Hello, good afternoon, brother. And of course, Asana, I'm on the call. You are not on the call. You are on LinkedIn. You need to be up here. So hopefully you'll have a way to come in. Hello, Homer. How are you guys doing? Thank you guys so much for being here. All right, so Ronnie's not here. I don't know if she's able to make it, but I'm going to have a discussion of limitless perspectives, right? Even though she's not here, she actually is a president of her Roni Abrams Associates Limited. I had a Zoom with her, and she actually is super amazing. Not only she is passionate about helping others, but the way she spoke about her late husband was so heartfelt for me and very warm. I love that she is literally about interpersonal communication. She's an expert on that. She's been doing it forever. She is from New York. Hello to my New Yorker friends, especially Miguel Davila, my anthropologist friend, who's also, by the way, on this academic publishing with us. And also, she has taught students in high school for 3 years, right? And she's only really well, she's young and vivacious, and I love the conversation. She's so calm, and I really wanted to have her here, and hopefully she can also still message us if she's not able to make it. Hello, Sister Paulette. All right. Hopefully she will be able to come in. Ronnie, let me see if I have her phone number because I always can call her. But I wanted to have a conversation about how is it our thoughts and what we think about help us or not help us with our daily activities, right? Because what we put in our head makes a big difference. When you're not feeling so well, whether it's your health, physical health, right, or mental health, or even just feeling depleted, right, nothing you're gonna do is gonna matter because it's always gonna be subpar. It's not gonna feel good. So what I would want to talk to you today is we'll do a little exercise. Hopefully you guys are able to make this. It doesn't look like Ronnie's able to come in. She just has a lot of technical difficulties. Hopefully she can call us. Let me see if she's calling us. Maybe. Let me call her back. Let me see if this is her right now. We're calling. See if she picks up.
Yes, Constance, I'm having all kinds of problems here.
That's okay. No worries. We'll just call you and have a conversation here on the phone with you. Okay?
Will it go through so everyone can hear it?
I'm sure of it. Let me see. Can you guys
I'm so
hear?
sorry about this, Constance. I don't know. This is my day for technical problems.
No worries. Listen, we are flexible. The most important thing is that we can get and extrapolate your information and what you do. So they can hear you. They can definitely hear you. Okay. So can you introduce yourselves to our listeners now? Here on LinkedIn, we have about 600 people on YouTube listening live right now with you. Who is Roni Abrams?
We're not live yet, are we?
We are live.
Oh. How is everyone? I'm delighted to be here. So sorry I'm having technical difficulties.
No worries. So explain to us, really tell us about you. Who is Roni Abrams?
I'm an interpersonal communication strategist. I specialize in working with people so that they learn to shift the way they perceive and interpret information.
Awesome.
That information informs our listening, and our listening informs what comes out of our mouth. And that makes all the difference in the world. Depending on what you are hearing in your head, that is how it will come out, and that is what will impact the results you produce and whether you have a full, rich, successful life or whether or not you do not.
That is
true. What I do, and it's exciting. It's out of the ordinary, and I get to see people do things they never thought they could do before.
Yeah, we had that conversation, and I was truly moved on the way you describe what you do and how amazing it is, and the story about your husband, and it literally warmed my heart. I'm like, it's somebody I want to be on the show. So I have a question for you. My first question is, how did you get here? Kind of think back maybe 20 years, within 20 years of your timeline. How did you got here today where you are?
Well, it started a long time ago, longer than 20 years. Initially, I was a journalist. I was always a very good listener and a very effective speaker. I never really understood the importance of listening until I began to interview people. And I discovered that people were telling me things they had never told anyone else. They did not say it was off the record. And I would go back and speak to colleagues and ask them, does this happen to you? They looked at me as if I was from Mars and said, absolutely not. So I was very curious as to why this was happening. And I began to ask people. And they said basically the same thing. They said they knew I came to portray them in the best possible light. They knew that I cared because I listened and they felt safe with me. Person after person after person. So I began to think about interpersonal communication, listening and speaking, and I put a microscope on them and began to study them carefully. And what I discovered and what I learned, I developed into a technology, human communication, that I have been imparting to people for many, many years. It's extremely effective, and people go and produce out of the ordinary results because they now hear and see the world differently and have the ability to manage the conversation they hear in their head and are able to change them out between those that don't support them moving forward and those that do. And it makes all the difference in the world. So that's how I got to be here. I did not start out that way. I intended to write all my life. And one thing led to another. And because I was an effective speaker, the publication I was the managing editor of approached me one day. He was their top salesperson and invited me to lunch. And while we were sitting there, he looked at me and said, you should be selling. I thought he was insane. And the first rule of thumb, don't speak unless you have someone's attention. He said the following to me, and he was foreign born in this country many years, and had done very well for himself. He said to me, if I spoke like you, I would be president of the United States. You should be selling. He certainly got my attention. And through his pushing and efforts, he even found me a sales position. When I left the publication I was with, and the rest became history. I ended up at a publication that I brought to the brink of making publishing history. And I then went into my own business, teaching people what I do very well, which is to listen and speak to produce results. So that is how I got to be doing what I am doing.
I love that. And the reason being is that people, I think, believe they know how to communicate, and they don't. Most people will think, okay, I know how to communicate, but communication, right? Like, let me ask you this: what is listening and speaking to you? What does that mean?
Well, when I ask people that, this is what they tell me. When my mouth is moving, I am speaking. When my mouth is not moving, I am not speaking. If communication was as simple as that, we would live in a very different world. But we all know it's not that simple. So our ability to listen takes in a very broad base of things. So I'm speaking now, you're listening to me. I'm also listening to what I'm telling myself. I'm also listening for what's possible. So they are separate, distinct things, and they are interrelated. And our listening is based on our perceptions. So we are taking in data from all our senses: eyes, nose, ears, mouth, sense of touch, everything. Body language. We are picking up everything. And based on what it is we are taking in, that forms our listening. And that listening is what we hear day in and day out. And it informs what we say, such as, I could never do this. And it comes out of your mouth that way. I make few promises, but I do promise you this, that if you say, I cannot do this, you will never do it. Not because you are not capable, but because you said so. And there is no one more powerful than the person sitting in your seat right now. The word is law in the universe. It is because you say so. Yeah. So it's very important that you take your speaking seriously.
That's so true. Now, how is shifting our mindset can remove self-imposed limitations and open doors to new possibilities?
How we approach something depends on how we hear it. So if we think something is a certain way and we get locked in to that way of thinking, it's very difficult to try or see something new. So by catching that, by recognizing, oh, I'm doing that again, you can then shift gears and look at something slightly differently. It doesn't take much to change your vantage point. Just a slight shift in how you are thinking.
Okay.
I can only recall maybe twice on one hand the times I ever said I can't do something. And one of them was my friend who introduced me to sales, went with me on my first sales call. And I witnessed a conversation the likes of which I had never seen before.
Oh, what was that?
we stopped into I'm in New York, in a shoe boutique that had been located not far from Bloomingdale's in Manhattan. They'd been there a long time. They no longer exist. And the owner came out, who was the equivalent in age and experience as a retailer as my friend was in sales. The two men stood toe to toe, and they had a conversation. I was acutely aware something unique was happening in that dialogue, and I had not seen it before. I consider myself a wordsmith. I consider myself a good speaker. I had interviewed God knows how many people, written how many articles. I didn't write these articles with no communication with another person. And I had not seen anything like this. After we were out on the street, it was left as a drawer for me to go back and finish. He looked at me and said, I've shown you how it's done. Go do it. And I said to him, I could never do this.
Oh.
And he smiled and said, oh, yes, you can. And he left me there. I went to lunch, and I'm sitting there, and I am absolutely engrossed in what I had heard and witnessed. So much so that I made a decision that I was going to learn to speak this new language, and I would master it. And I did. It took me 6-8 months. It was probably one of the hardest things I'd ever done. No one gave me any instruction where I was working. I was thrown into the water, and it's do or die. And I became extremely adept at knowing who I would be able to sell and who I would not. The first sale I made, I went to the publisher, and I said to him, I'm going to see so-and-so, and I'm coming back with a contract and a check. Man looked at me and scratched his head and said, have you spoken to them? I said, no. You've had no contact with them? No. He said, come back and hand me the contract and the check. And I did. I did it day after day. I went and told him, I'm coming back with a contract and a check. It reached a point, he said, don't have to tell me anymore. There's a basket on my desk. Just put the contract in there.
Yeah.
But I was determined to learn this form of communication, what it took to be successful. And I ended up doing just that. So, and while I was there, and the reason I went there, at the time I joined them, I could say with no reservation, it was such an ugly publication, wrapping fish in it was too dignified. But, and they handed me their media kit. If you've ever seen a media kit, they're beautiful.
Yes.
Full color,
Yeah.
glossy, charts, graphs, you name it.
Yep. I have one. I have one for every single event that I go to. Yes.
Okay. So here I have 2-3 pages stapled in the corner. And I'm reading these numbers and statistics and leadership. And I kept rereading it. I must have reread it 15 times.
Wow.
There was something about this that didn't jive with what the publication looked like. And then the light bulb went off. I was looking at same demographics as Vogue, Town and Country, and Architectural Digest. And I said, whoa, I'm holding a gold mine in my hand. So I decided, not telling anyone, that I would go there, learn to sell them in their ugliness.
Yeah.
And when the time was right, I would go after the luxury good accounts. Well, I got very good at it. And I went to the publisher one day and said, I want you to know what I'm going to be doing. And I'm going after the luxury good accounts. The man, now I have been there now quite a while. I've been producing some extraordinary results. Said, you are out of your mind. And I said, you've been forewarned, things are going to change, and they did.
Oh, that's
The
good.
Sudbury publication had to start looking better. They took it as far as they could go on their own. They hired then an art director, changed the paper, changed the front covers, and we never stopped from there. We were a local publication, only in Manhattan. They went tri-state, and then we're going national. And I was at that time responsible for approximately 85% of all the revenue, and I was in charge of whatever sales staff we had.
That's amazing. I love that.
So,
I love
yeah,
that you break the barriers, right? Like at first you're like, okay, many of the limitations you experience because you've never done it before. And I think that's what most of us really go through is many of our limitations we experience are really not external, but more internal because it's built by our own beliefs, like past experiences and literally social conditioning. So a limitless perspective begins with awareness that only real constraints are the ones we accept as our truth. But when we challenge those barriers, we start to see opportunities where others see obstacles, or sometimes others don't even see it at all, like what you just said, right? So history has shown that most successful individuals and game changers really refuse to be confined by conventional thinking, whether in business, in science, in personal growth, or breakthroughs happens when we allow ourselves to think beyond those expected and dare to redefine what's possible. And in your story, from what I'm getting, is that no one even see the opportunity, you've created it, and because of that, that's technically still communication. You're listening to the heartbeat of opportunities that's right in front of you, but you're so astute to even do that. Now we're going to move to adopting a limitless mindset conversation because we're almost halfway through our program, and it means reframing challenges as stepping stones rather than roadblocks, which in your story of sales as well is on there. Now every setback, failure, or rejection contains valuable lessons that can propel us forward. Now, if we're willing to extract the wisdom from them instead of saying, why is this happening to me? I can't possibly do this. We can literally ask, what is this teaching me? Right? Like you said, a little shift in perspective fosters resilience and adaptability. So, two essential traits for anyone looking to grow beyond your current right circumstances. Embrace mindset of cultivation, ability to navigate uncertainty, take calculated risks, and ultimately design a life and a career, like much like Ronnie here, that aligns with our highest potential. Now, Ronnie, I wanted to ask you, how do you know someone is listening, especially if you're on the phone and you're not able to see, their facial expressions? How can you tell if someone is listening to you?
There are a number of ways you can do that. First, you need to be listening intently. I've done a lot of enrollment of people over the phones, and I could hear when someone was not speaking the truth. I'll give you an example. I was speaking to someone regarding attending a public workshop I was conducting, and he said he's coming. All the flags went up. I said to myself, you're speaking too fast. You're not consulting a calendar. This is a conversation for nonsense. So I told him, and I want you all to listen to this. In order for me to make sure that someone is taking their speaking seriously, I say the following. I said to this person, since we've never worked before, I'm going to share with you some ground rules. I deal with people on an adult basis. I take you at your word. The only reason acceptable to me that you are not in the course room when you say you were going to be there and you've already paid for it, my programs are prepaid, is that I have a note from the coroner saying you were dead. He got the message. He said to me, in that case, I can't be there because I have to coach my son's Little League game that night. I could hear the speed with which he answered. No thought given. Not looking at any calendar. Nothing. He said yes. If I was not listening, I would not pick that up.
Okay.
So if you listen intently, there is also something else. You need to know what you're listening for.
True.
There are many, many distinctions that we need to have in order to do what I just described. So what I'm going to break down some of the elements that I was listening for. I was listening for someone who gave me a thoughtful answer. Speed is not necessarily thoughtful. I was listening for someone who was consulting their calendars if they were available. I was also listening as to whether or not this person had a serious tone in wanting to engage in the work that I was doing, or they were very glib. So these were things I was listening for. I came into the conversation listening for that. I don't hear that. I know you're talking nonsense.
I love that.
So you can go to any networking event. God knows I've gone to how many. And in a very short period of time, you can determine if you know what you're listening for. If you have a criteria through which to listen, you can determine quickly who is a potential client and who is not.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you're listening for certain markers.
Right.
So if you don't have your criteria, then you will not be able to distinguish. Also, if people are distracted, if you're on the phone and you hear a lot of noise in the background, something is going on and their full attention is probably not with you. If you're standing in front of someone and they are constantly being interrupted, you do not have their full attention. If you notice that they are looking at the ceiling, the floor, or counting the flowers on the wallpaper, they are not with you.
Counting the flowers on the wallpaper, that is so true. Okay, so full disclosure though, okay, I get bored on conversations because my mind, once I ask certain things, like I've always tried to be cognizant of that, because even my husband's like, okay, you got squirrel mind again, because when someone speaks to me and I've already know, or at least I think I know, right, I don't really 100% know exactly what they're thinking, but I kind of predict on what they're going to say, and it's something that I already know. My head moves on, right? So for someone like me who have ADHD, where I get bored easily on a certain conversation, especially if the story that they're telling me I've already seen it before. I give you an example. I think a mom was asking me something. Oh, it was a lunch duty thing, and she was telling me a story about how our volunteers are not doing their jobs. And so I told her, okay, well, what do you mean? Can you give me an example of not they're doing their jobs? Like, do they know exactly what their job is before you assume that they don't know what they're doing or they didn't do what they're doing? Because most people assume they don't know what they're doing, but what if no one told them how to do things you're expecting them to do, right? They're volunteers. They're not here training all that, but you got to tell them. And then she was telling me a story about, like, well, I told them to wipe the table this way. It was during COVID, right? And I said, okay, did they wipe it this way? And then she kept going on about the wiping. After about two examples, my brain literally stopped and moved on to something else. And so how do you help someone who have that?
Well, there's two elements here. You have the listener and you have the speaker.
Mm-hmm.
You can say to the speaker, I appreciate what you're telling me, and I have to focus on something else now. So we can either finish the conversation at another time, or I got the message, and you can repeat what the crux of the message is, so that person, the speaker, knows you understood. So you can do it two ways. You can acknowledge the fact that you cannot listen to the speaker, for whatever reason you wish to give. You want to assure the speaker you heard what they had to say. So the best way to do that is to repeat what you heard briefly so they get it. And then you move on to something else. So that's one way to handle that. Another way is to keep in mind that the one thing we don't hear could be the one critical piece of information, had you had it, would have changed everything. And this is particularly so in sales.
Mm-hmm.
What you're describing, people do in all their endeavors. So if you are selling and you think you know what the other person is saying or going to say,
Mm-hmm.
that may be the one thing that you didn't hear that would make or break the sale. You need to remind yourself that if they're continuing, there must be a reason. What's so important that they would have to repeat this thing over and over again? If I am meeting with a potential client, I had this happen actually, and they asked me, can I deal with angry people? I said yes, extremely well. It
Yeah.
alerted me to the fact that there's a huge upset going on in the company.
Yeah.
What it was, I didn't know. But this would not come up normally in a conversation. And we were speaking, and then a second time, they asked me, can you deal with angry people? I was clear that this was a major issue. So to make sure that he got that I could do this extremely well, I gave him two examples. And that took care of it.
Yeah. Communication is super important. Yeah.
So you need to, part of it is we get into bad habits.
Yeah. Lots of bad habits.
And we drift. We drift in our conversation. It's not unusual. But those that are committed to being an astute listener will recognize that and bring themselves back into the conversation. This is like developing a new muscle.
It is. It is. I've been in sales for probably 15, 20 years. I sold pretty much everything, and I always just talk to the CEO because they're the decision makers of everything. That's how I always get into sales. And I've gone to retention unit. So I think for me, I need to train myself patience. Some people, when they have to explain something to someone, they take a while. And sometimes, if I don't acknowledge it, they probably think that I didn't get what they're saying. So
Exactly.
I have to acknowledge it somehow. And for me, I acknowledge it in my head, but I don't acknowledge it physically to somebody who I'm talking to. I have a check mark on my head. I'm like, okay, got it, got it, got it, got it. Okay, next. And then they just keep going, and then I'm like, okay, I'm bored now because I already got it. But the thing is, you, right, who's listening, have to acknowledge somebody that you got what they're saying, so they can move on to their next to-do list and their thoughts too. So I love that. We are at the end of our program today, so I wanted to tell everybody too that creating a legacy beyond limits, because that is what we're talking about today, is limitless perspective, right? And how communication is so important, and that listening doesn't just mean opening and listening for certain words. Listening literally means paying attention. And for those of us who has to do multitasking and things like that, it's really important that you stop for a minute once in a while and listen, right? I'm the type of person that goes everywhere, and it doesn't seem like I'm listening, but I am. But the person that you're talking to does not know that and does not know you. So please make sure you do acknowledge, if you are talking to somebody, that you are listening, because a limitless perspective is not just about personal success. It's about impact that we leave behind. So when we operate with mental constraints in our conversations, in our way of communicating, we inspire others to do the same, whether that's a positive thing or a negative thing. And also think about the leaders, creators, and pioneers who have shaped history, not because they followed the rules, but because they challenged them. But you need to challenge yourself how you communicate with other people, whether that's nonverbal communications, your facial expressions, your hands. I'm big with hands on everything. But also keep that ripple effect that transcends our own journey. Um, when we communicate with someone, the tone makes a big difference too. I don't know about you, Ronnie, but sometimes I get a tone, and it's very prominent when I'm upset. And I'm also very straightforward when I give feedback to somebody, and I know that's not for everybody, and so sometimes people get taken by it, or they probably start hating me for it because I'm pretty straightforward. So I try to navigate to those circumstances, but at the same time, it's like, why go around the bush when you actually need this? But I'm very kind when I give feedback. It's always about improvement, and not saying, hey, you did this wrong. You could do better, but not necessarily wrong. It's just the way you did it is different. That's how I see things. So to end this conversation, we have about 4 minutes or so. What would be the one takeaway that you would like to give our listeners today, in terms of how they can communicate makes or break their next sales deal?
I get the same complaint from people who sell and people who buy. No one listens. The exact same thing on both sides of the table. Make it a point to hear what someone else is saying. If you're not clear as to what they are saying or why they are objecting to something, ask. You cannot turn a no into a yes without understanding why they are saying no. If you can understand that, you stand a very good chance of turning it around. I've had lots of no's said to me over the years, and I've turned a lot of them around because I listened. I heard what was needed. I heard what they were actually saying. So it is critically important that you put your own agendas aside so you can hear what someone is actually saying. Don't go in with an attitude. Don't prejudge. Someone says to you, oh, I tried working with so and so, the person is an ogre. You can hear it, but make your own determination. I have worked with people who are some of the most difficult, and no one can work with them. They turn out to be my best accounts. We get along famously well because I listen to who they are and not the kids call it street face. People put on a street face. God forbid you be who you are. And if you actually listen beyond that, what you'll see is a wonderful human being. And if you deal with a wonderful human being, that's what's going to show up. If you go in feeling you're dealing with an ogre, guess what? You're going to be dealing with an ogre. Because that's how you hear and see them. And they will respond accordingly.
Wow.
So the one thing for you to remember that it is critical to be an in-depth listener. No judgment, no pre-decisions. Go in, hear what it needs. Person is saying. If you're in a sales situation, you need to determine what their need is. If they don't have a need, I don't care how fabulous your their product or service is, they won't buy because it's not needed. And you need to direct whatever you say to that need.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, so that would be number one. Be an in-depth listener. Because everyone is complaining, no one listens.
That's so true. That is so true. Yeah, you're right. Everyone is literally paying attention to nothing. Everyone's busy at doing something about themselves rather than go. And I think the hardest part is no preconceived notion, because I think people walk around with a chip on their shoulder, period. Like, oh, I've seen this people before, or I've seen that people before. And you kill the opportunities to grow or even get to know with that person. So I love that. Thank you so much for being here. I know you had some technical difficulties, and I'm glad that you're able to have a chat with us and have a chat with the people. We still have about 700 people here on YouTube, so I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your day today.
I'm delighted to be here. It was wonderful. And I hope that everyone who is listening goes out and listens more intently to what is being said to them. And you may actually discover that things aren't quite the same again.
Yes, let's do that. Thank you so much, Roni. Have a beautiful day in New York.
Thank you. And you have a great rest of the day as well.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you guys so much for listening. I know we made it work, right? Ronnie's not here in front of us, but here is Ronnie's LinkedIn profile. So I also have her LinkedIn profile down below so you can see it. So what I definitely wanting to part ways with you today is to really think about what Ronnie is saying, which is need to listen more in depthly rather than being busy of doing 3 things at once. I'm guilty of that. I do listen to multiple things at once. My brain needs to function by listening to other things. But it's all about retraining, right? Everything else, if you want something so bad, you can retrain yourself to do something, and never let anyone tell you you cannot, okay? And also make sure really that when you're listening to people, most of us are listening superficially. We just want to be seen, valued, and heard. So we're just go from room to room to room to StreamYard to live stream to whatever, right? I've tried to change that. I'm only going to rooms that I truly know that gives me value for the day, right? And also acknowledges my presence. So if I'm in the room and I'm commenting and my comments doesn't show, I leave and I won't come back in that room. It's because acknowledgement is everything, right? But also reciprocating the time that they actually were there to type to say hello, like Professor Roxana and Homer right here. Yes, have an amazing day. And I hope I can have you up here soon, Professor Roxana, to talk about education because we're both teaching, right? Also, the way we educate moving forward. I'm so excited right now. I'm in the middle of creating a curriculum that is injecting AI assignments in it. I've created a bot specific for that class and only for that class. It doesn't go anywhere around the world, just for us. So it's something that I love doing. And I hope you guys have an amazing day today. And thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, let me take a look. I think I moved things around for tomorrow because I want to have a conversation. Yeah, so I will be here tomorrow because I will be teaching you something interesting. So it will be a teaching day tomorrow by myself. So hopefully, I will see you tomorrow and watch out for our YouTube on what it is. Okay, hopefully you can participate. Bye, everybody. Have a beautiful day. See ya.